The Unfiltered by Jade.
Jade.
Welcome to The Unfiltered by Jade, where we educate, empower, and entertain. Feel free to like, share, subscribe, download, donate, and make everybody know about this.
Beats by RB Records.
Shopping assistance, your style, your budget. Our services include online and local shopping for individuals and businesses, personal shopping, purchasing of company and office supplies, importing and exporting small packages across Jamaica and worldwide, and helping you find unique gifts and items for all events and occasions. Contact us at 876-919-5195 or shoppingassistance2015@gmail.com. Shopping Assistance, your style, your budget.
Welcome back to The Unfiltered by Jade. We have with us here Dr. Angela Holliday-Bell. She is a board-certified physician, certified sleep health specialist, author, sleep coach, professional speaker, and the CEO of Solution is Sleep LLC. Hello, Dr. Bell.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great. How are you doing?
Well, thank you.
Awesome. So today we're going to be speaking about sleep and its effects. I want to know first and foremost, what are the different stages of sleep and why are they important?
So there are 4 different stages of sleep. They're broken down what we call non-REM or NREM sleep, and then REM sleep or REM sleep. So the 3 stages of non-REM sleep are N1, which is really that very light stage of sleep where you're kind of falling between wakefulness and sleep. You might not even notice that you're asleep during that time. Very light, like if you find yourself kind of dozing off and you wake up, you're like, did I just fall asleep? That's kind of N1. Then you have N2, which is a slightly deeper stage of sleep, but not the deepest. And interestingly, we spend most of our time in this stage. And this is when your blood pressure starts to slow down. You start breathing a little bit slower. Everything is kind of slowing down, transitioning to sleep. Then you have N3 sleep, which is your deep, slow wave stage of sleep. So that's that very restorative sleep. When you get enough of that, you wake up feeling refreshed and energized. And that is that sleep that really, when we talk about like sleep quality, that's the sleep that you really want to make sure that you're getting. Every part of sleep is important for all functions, but if we just kind of generally put it in a bucket, N3 sleep is very restorative for the body. You can think of it that way. And then after that, you have REM sleep, REM or rapid eye movement sleep, which is where most of the dreaming occurs. And we say that stage of sleep is most restorative for your mind. So you say, think of N3 sleep being most restorative for the body, and then REM sleep being more restorative for the body.
Okay. How much sleep do different age groups typically need?
Yeah, so it varies widely. So when you talk about like an infant or newborn, they actually can spend 16 to 18 hours sleeping. So I think it's so interesting when we look at that. All of the time that infants spend asleep really is a great example of how important sleep is. The reason they spend so much time in sleep is because that's when all the neuronal or brain connections are occurring. They're learning and growing so rapidly, and most of those things actually take place while they're sleeping. So they spend the vast majority of their day and night sleeping. As you get older, that changes. So as you go throughout school-age kids and childhood, that's roughly 10 to 12 hours per night. Adolescents need closer to 8 to 10 hours, and then most adults will need 7 to 9 hours.
Okay, and while we're sleeping, does the same thing occurs in babies in terms of growing and the neurons connecting together and learning different? Does that happen also? Okay. I want to know, what role does REM and non-REM sleep play in our overall health?
Yeah, so they're both very, very important for overall health. I think as of the recent years, people have really gotten on this REM sleep train where everyone's so focused on REM sleep and how much REM sleep did you get? And I need REM sleep. And REM sleep is certainly important, but every single stage of sleep is important and has its own functions for our overall health. Again, I kind of think of it as REM sleep being restorative for the mind and the deep part of non-REM sleep being restorative for the body, but there's lots of crossover between those things. The body is actually so exquisite and works in a way that your body will refine your sleep needs based on the needs of your body and your mind. So for instance, if you've had a certain amount of sleep deficiency where you're missing out on sleep, your body will actually try to compensate by getting more REM sleep the next day. If you're sick and you really need to shut down and work on fighting infections, you might spend a little bit more time in the N3 deep sleep. So your body is very sophisticated in a way that it fine-tunes your sleep to meet your needs. And every single stage of sleep has its own role and its own importance in your overall mental and physical health.
Okay. I want to know, what role does sleep play in mental health, including conditions like anxiety and depression?
Sleep plays a significant role in mental health. There's such a very strong bidirectional relationship between mental health and sleep. So much so that almost 75% of individuals with depression also have symptoms of insomnia. And if you already have insomnia, which is difficulty falling or staying asleep, your chances of going on to develop depression and anxiety increase by 10 and 17 times respectively. And I think that goes back to all of the significant mental functions that take place while you're sleeping. So while you're sleeping, your emotional regulatory center communicates with your amygdala, which is the emotional control center, via inhibitory signals, meaning your brain is sending signals for things basically to calm down while you're sleeping overnight for you to process, regulate your emotions. And that what allows you to have better control of your emotions during the day. So when you miss out on sleep, you miss out on some of those regulatory processes that take place, and you make yourself more vulnerable to the dysregulation that occurs in mental health conditions like anxiety and depression.
And does it affect cognitive functions like memory, decision making, and creativity also?
100%. So your executive functioning, which are higher order processes like decision making, being able to think through things, being able to think critically, all of those processes actually also occur while you're sleeping. Those are controlled by your frontal lobe, or the front part of your brain. And again, the regulatory processes that control that functioning really kick up while you're sleeping. So if you don't allow yourself enough time to sleep, you lose some of that regulation. You're more likely to be impulsive. You're more likely to make poor decisions. You're less likely to think through decisions. You have a desire for instant gratification. Basically, our functions become more primitive when we're not sleeping. So if you just think about it, after a night of poor sleep, think about how much more irritable you are, how much more on edge you are. You're less likely to be patient. You don't remember things quite as well. And there's a reason for that, because all of those sensitive mental and cognitive processes that will usually take place while you're sleeping, you haven't given yourself enough time to regulate and refine those things. And that leads to deficits the next day.
Okay. And it's important for everyone. It doesn't matter the job that you're doing or you're a student. It's important for everyone.
It's important from being in the, corporate boardroom to just being at home and taking, if you're a parent, taking care of your kids, to just your normal everyday activities, to even things like what you're eating, your diet and exercise. When you are in a state of insufficient sleep or sleep deficiency, that instant gratification, that lack of impulse control impacts everything that you do. So you're much more likely to reach for the donuts or the bag of chips. You need instant gratification as opposed to thinking through those decisions and choosing something healthier. You're less likely to think through decisions that you need to make at work, and you're making more impulsive decisions. Every single activity you do, no matter who you are, where, how you work, is going to be impacted when you're not getting enough sleep.
And making impulse decisions can also affect your clients. Not just yourself, because if you're making impulse decision with them also, you're affecting how you give them therapy, how you go about making solutions for them. What are some of the signs that someone might need to see a sleep specialist?
So if you are consistently struggling to fall asleep, stay asleep, or waking up too early, especially if this is occurring at least 3 or more nights per week for at least 3 months, you absolutely should see a sleep specialist. That is the definition of chronic insomnia, and is something that often requires a plan and some sort of support to kind of get through and to improve. But the other thing is, if you're just not getting the quality sleep that you deserve, you should talk to at least your primary provider and see if there's something that should be done. I think in terms of sleep, people tend to suffer in silence, is what I call it. So people assume that, if I'm a busy adult and I have kids or I'm working or I'm going to school, of course I'm not going to get sleep. And people don't understand that you deserve to sleep no matter what you do, no matter who you are, you deserve to sleep. And so just like if you were to fall down and break your leg, or if you were to have an illness, you'd go to the doctor because you understand that you deserve to be whole. You deserve to be able to walk without pain. You deserve to be able to feel well. Same thing goes for your sleep. So if you feel that you're trying what you think you should be doing and you're not getting the quality sleep, you're waking up still tired, having morning headaches, not able to get through your day, and especially if it's going on for a long time, as I mentioned before, those are absolutely reasons to seek help.
Lovely. And for persons who have kids that are not going to sleep, they also probably need to, there's nothing that much can be done because it's a baby. But what can help them in terms of sleeping?
There's a difference between missing out on sleep because you have a newborn who has to wake up and feed every 2 to 3 hours, and it's just laws of nature. They have to wake up to feed. You have to do that. So of course you're not going to get sleep during the time period, and that's okay. But what I find is for most people, they're well beyond that time period where the newborn has to be waking up to feed and they're still not getting sleep. And that is when it becomes more of an issue. And oftentimes there are different reasons for that, right? Of course, kids are going to need more of our attention and we're going to need to attend to their needs. However, that doesn't mean that has to occur all throughout the night and has to impact our sleep. I think a lot of the time it starts with equipping your children with healthy sleep habits, teaching them that sleep is important and to prioritize sleep, and equipping them with the tools to sleep independently so that it's not impacting your sleep. So that's number one. And then number two is I think a lot of people who have children, again, they have a lot of needs and we have to give them a lot of attention. And so at the end of the night, when they go to sleep, parents are like, okay, now it's my time. So now I'm going to stay up. I'm going to binge watch my show. I'm going to, snack. I'm going to work. And they sacrifice sleep in order to do those things. And I try to get them to understand that your reward for that at the end of a long day of work
is sleep.
Exactly. As that reward, like you deserve to sleep and you're going to wake up and feel so much better. It's so much more energized and able to tackle the stresses that come along with parenthood and work life. So don't sacrifice sleep in the name of wanting to have time to yourself. Like sleep can be that time.
What are some practical tips for improving sleep hygiene?
So the very first and probably most potent way to do this, most powerful thing, is just to keep a consistent wake time each morning. Simple as that. Wake up at the same time each and every morning, because that helps to reinforce your circadian rhythm, which is that roughly 24-hour cycle that dictates when you feel awake and alert and when you feel tired. That teaches your brain when to send those alerting factors in the morning and when to send the sleepy cues at night. So often people get thrown off track, especially on the weekends or on holidays, when it's like, oh, I can sleep in and I don't need to keep the same schedule. But then that throws them off during the week and they get stuck in this vicious cycle. If you're going to sleep in by no more than an hour, but try to keep that wake time consistent. Getting natural light exposure within 1 hour of waking in the morning sounds like it wouldn't be that big of a deal when it comes to sleep, but it's actually crucial because light is the strongest factor that influences your circadian rhythm in a way that tells you to be awake and alert. And again, helps to reinforce when you're awake and help you feel energized, but also helps to send the sleepy cues like your melatonin at an appropriate time at night. And then lastly, I would say, have a consistent, soothing, relaxing bedtime routine. Dedicate some time to making the transition from day to night and to sleep. Oftentimes people go throughout their busy day working, taking care of kids, running errands, making dinner, doing all these things. And then they just feel like because they flip the lights off and get into bed, that everything will melt away and they will fall asleep. And unfortunately, for so many people, that's not the case. You really have to give your brain and body that time to transition from all of the stress and rapid brain waves and movement of the day to the more solemn slowness and relaxation of the night. So just implementing a consistent bedtime routine can work wonders.
Lovely. Dr. Bell, is there any other thing that you want to leave for the audience in terms of sleep and the benefits of it?
Yeah, so I would just say, number one, we dedicate a third of our lives to sleeping. And there's a reason for that. Again, our bodies are beautifully made. I think God crafted us exactly how we should be. And there's a reason that 4/3 of that time we spend it sleeping. So it shouldn't be something that's taken lightly or looked over. We need it for a reason. And there is no part of functioning mentally, physically that is not affected by insufficient sleep. That's number one. And then number two, the biggest thing for me is the fact that you deserve to sleep. Like, I try to get people to understand that you don't have to earn sleep. It's not something that should be pushed off to the side because there's so many other things. Like, you deserve the beauty of rest. And not only is it investing in your health, but it's also investing in who you want to be and how you want to show up the next day, to be your best self in the workplace, to be your best self at home. So it is worth the investment to take the time to sleep, and you deserve that, among other things.
Yes, lovely. Dr. Bell, where is it that we can find you?
Yeah, so the best place will probably be my website, www.thesolutionissleep.com. I have all of my information on there, links to my socials, my email, my offerings. That's a great place to connect with me, and I'd be happy to connect and chat with you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Bell, for sharing with us about sleep and its benefits and how important and imperative it is to us for our bodies and how we even show up the next day for not just ourselves, but others around us. So thank you so much for that.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
No problem. And I want to thank you to my listeners on the Unfiltered by Jade. And we'll be back next week, Tuesday. Thank you.